Back in the day, Frostpunk, the first installment of the post-apocalyptic city builder, was a massive success. It offered a unique take on city building, immersing players in a bleak, frozen world where every decision could mean the difference between life and death. The game's harsh environment and difficult morale choices left a lasting impression on fans, and it became a classic in the city building genre. It wasn't just about managing resources and expanding your city, it was about making tough, often uncomfortable decisions, what directly affected the fate of your people. Fast forward to today and Frostpunk 2 has finally been released, and once again 11-bit Studios has delivered a gripping, atmospheric experience that raises the bar for city building games. Just like its predecessor, Frostpunk 2 thrusts you into a post-apocalyptic steampunk version of Earth, where survival isn't just about managing resources, it's about grappling with moral dilemmas that challenge your humanity. This time the focus shifts from coal to oil, and while that might sound like a minor change, it fundamentally alters the way the game plays. In the first Frostpunk, coal was your lifeline, it kept the generators running and the people warm. Now oil has become the new focal point of society, but with oil comes not only the promise of power and progress, but also new political struggles and moral reckoning. Your city becomes divided. Some factions demand rapid industrialization and see oil as the key to prosperity, while others resist, fearing that an over-reliance on this resource could lead to societal collapse or even environmental destruction. Though I'm questioning how environment could even be further destroyed. This creates a deeper level of tension in the game. You're no longer just managing dwindling resources, you're managing conflicting ideologies within your own society. Do you push forward with industrial growth, knowing that it could destroy the fabric of your city? Or do you try to find a middle ground which could slow your progress but keep the peace? These choices aren't just theoretical, they directly affect the well-being of your city, and they add layers of complexity that keep you engaged. The gameplay, while familiar to fans of the original, has been refined and expanded in ways that make Frostpunk 2 feel fresh. City building is still at the heart of the experience, and it's just as rewarding as ever. However, the system feels more streamlined, more intuitive. The tech tree is much more robust, offering a wide variety of strategic paths to follow. You have more control over how your society evolves, with new technologies that can shift the balance of power within your city and a council. The construction of buildings, resource management, and the ever-present struggle to keep the generator running are still core mechanics, but now there's more nuance. For example, as you expand your city, you'll have to think more carefully about where to place your industrial zones, housing, and resource buildings. The layout of your city can have serious implications on how efficient your supply chains are and how well your people can survive the harsh conditions. Speaking of harsh conditions, one of the most standout elements of Frostpunk 2 is how it immerses you into its frozen, desolate world. The visual design is stunning, capturing the cold, bleak landscape with incredible detail. As you play, you can almost feel the frost creeping up your own skin, especially when a brutal storm hits, and your city is struggling to stay alive. The game constantly reminds you of the stake each time you pan across your city. You see not just buildings, but the lives of people struggling to survive. You're responsible for those lives, and the weight of that responsibility is something the game doesn't let you forget. It's not just the visuals either. The sound design in Frostpunk 2 is another element that pulls you into this world. The wind howls through the city, the creaks of machinery fill the air, and the haunting music adds a somber tone to everything you do. These subtle details build up the tension, constantly reminding you that your city and your people are on the edge of collapse. The atmosphere is thick with dread, and yet there's a kind of dark beauty to it all. It's a kind of experience that grips you and doesn't let go. Even on the lowest difficulty settings, Frostpunk 2 presents a serious challenge. This is not a game that lets you coast through with easy decisions. You will face moments where everything is falling apart and it feels like there's no right choice. You'll question yourself constantly. Am I doing the right thing? Is the sacrifice worth it? Will my city survive if I make this choice? And when things inevitably go wrong, there's a strong urge to restart the mission, because every mistake can snowball into a catastrophe. The challenge is always present, and it's part of what makes the game so rewarding. You never feel like you're playing on autopilot. every decision matters. The city must not fall. This mantra echoes throughout your time with the game, reminding you that no matter how dire things get, your primary responsibility is to keep the city alive. Every decision, every policy, every sacrifice is in service of that single goal, survival. And that, I think, is what sets Frostpunk 2 apart from other city builders. It's not just about expanding your city and maximizing resources, it's about navigating an unforgiving world and doing whatever it takes to keep your people alive. The narrative of Frostpunk 2 is also richer and more layered than in the first game. The factions within your city have more depth and their motivations aren't clear-cut. You're constantly forced to navigate a complex web of political intrigue, moral dilemmas, and personal agendas. The game makes you question your own morale. Are you willing to sacrifice a few for the greater good? Will you exploit the land for resources even if it means long-term consequences? These are not easy questions, and the game doesn't give you easy answers. One thing that's really striking is that despite the harshness, there's something strangely comforting about Frostpunk 2. Maybe it's the cold, or maybe it's weight of the decisions, but it feels like the perfect game to dive into during the winter months. There's something about sitting in a warm room wrapped in a blanket while managing a frozen city on the brink of collapse. The tension and atmosphere feels just right for those long chilly nights. So if you're a fan of the first game, or if you enjoy city building sims with a heavy narrative focus, Frostpunk 2 is a must play. The game challenges not only your strategic thinking, but your morals and sense of responsibility. The tough choices, immersive world, and constant pressure make it a truly unique experience. And if you're looking for a game that will keep you on edge, Frostpunk 2 delivers that and more. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to stay away from the frost. Take care, and if you want, leave a subscribe and like on this video.